Have you ever made a tiny mistake, just one, and suddenly found yourself spiraling? Like you send a slightly awkward email, and now your brain's showing you a scene where you're jobless, friendless, and arguing with raccoons for scraps of pizza crust in a back alley. Yeah. Welcome to your brain's secret cinema, the one that plays your worst fears on a never-ending loop. Today, we're diving into the 7 hidden brain habits that silently sabotage your peace, hijack your emotions, and leave you feeling like you're stuck in a psychological maze. These aren't just quirks, they're patterns that shape how you feel, how you react, and how you live. And the wildest part, most of them happen without you even noticing. Let's get into it. Number 7 disaster movie, Mind Your Mind, is a director, but not the feel-good rom-com kind. Nope, it specializes in disaster flicks with you as the terrified protagonist. You mess up one line in a meeting and suddenly your mind fast-forwards to a future where you're jobless, homeless, and explaining to your cat why you can no longer afford tuna. This isn't just overthinking, this is catastrophic thinking. It's your brain's emergency broadcast system going off over a minor inconvenience. One small trigger, like a slightly annoyed tone from your boss, and your thoughts explode like a balloon at a kid's party. Except instead of balloon animals, you get a cinematic nightmare. Let's say your boss says, "We need to talk." A reasonable brain might think, okay, maybe there's a project update. But your brain, it goes, "I'm being fired. I'll never recover. Everyone will know. My LinkedIn will die of embarrassment." This is your inner director yelling, "Action," on a movie that doesn't need to exist. But why does this happen? Because your brain is trying to prepare you for the worst. It thinks if it shows you the most terrifying version of the future, you'll be ready for anything. But there's a huge difference between planning for the worst and living as if the worst is already here. And here's the kicker, most of these imagined disasters never happen. In fact, when bad things do happen, we're usually way better at handling them than we thought. But try telling that to your brain when it's halfway through filming the collapse of everything you care about. Part 3. So the next time your brain starts playing a horror trailer about your future, pause. Ask, is this really happening or is it just another premiere of catastrophe theater? Number 6, the rejection panic button. Ever feel like a small criticism hits you like a punch in the gut? Or that a friend not replying fast enough suddenly feels like abandonment? If so, your brain might be living with a faulty panic button, and it's called rejection, sensitivity, dysphoria, or RSD. Sounds complicated. Let's break it down. Dysphoria means a crushing, intense emotional response. And when it's tied to rejection, real or imagined, it's like emotional TNT. People with RSD don't just feel hurt, they crash. They might replay one harsh comment for days, or completely isolate after someone looks at them the wrong way. Even something as simple as a partner being a little distracted can send them into emotional freefall. This isn't being overly sensitive. This is the brain setting off emotional fire alarms over a flickering candle. And for many with ADHD, this is a daily experience. In fact, some experts believe RSD is one of the most painful and overlooked symptoms of ADHD. People with RSD often become perfectionists or people pleasers. They overachieve, over-apologize, and overthink, all to avoid one thing, feeling rejected. But here's the cruel twist. RSD doesn't need actual rejection. It reacts just as strongly to the fear of it. And when that fear takes over, everything becomes a threat. The delayed message, the vague comment, the quiet friend. It all feels like proof that you're not wanted. This emotional tornado leads people to avoid new things, new people, new opportunities just to dodge the potential pain. But here's the truth. That pain is real, but it's not a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of how your brain processes emotional risk. Understanding this is the first step in stopping the spiral and learning to say, wait a minute, maybe they're just busy can change everything. Number 5, compulsive body habits. Let's talk about something that hides in plain sight, your hands. Ever find yourself biting your nails until they bleed, picking at your skin for hours, or pulling your hair strand by strand without even realizing it? These are not just bad habits. They're called body-focused repetitive behaviors, or BFRBs. And for millions, they're a silent scream from the brain. Let's look deeper. Nail biting might start as a nervous tick, but for some, it becomes uncontrollable. They bite until their fingers hurt, the nail beds bleed, and the damage is visible. They want to stop, but their hands won't listen. Then there's dermatillomania, or compulsive skin picking. It's not about popping a pimple. It's standing at a mirror, digging into the skin, creating open wounds, sometimes spending hours in a trance-like focus. And afterwards, shame, regret, bandages. Next is trichotillomania, hair pulling. People pull out their own hair from their scalp, eyebrows, eyelashes. Sometimes without noticing, sometimes with intention, they can't resist. Bald spots are hidden with makeup hats or even lies. What causes this? Often it's stress or trauma or anxiety that builds so loud the body has to do something to release it. The brain sends a silent command, fix this feeling, and the hands obey. There's usually a moment of relief, a strange satisfaction, but then guilt, pain, embarrassment, and the cycle begins again. These actions are misunderstood. They're not attention-seeking. They're not weak. They're coping mechanisms from a brain that's learned to channel distress into movement. The good news, help exists. From therapy to awareness tools to support communities, these patterns can be unlearned. But it starts with recognizing this isn't about willpower, it's about healing. Number 4, trapped by rituals. Have you ever had to touch a doorknob exactly 3 times before leaving the house? Or spent 30 minutes aligning everything on your desk until it felt just right? For many, these aren't preferences. They're rituals. And they aren't soothing. They're demanding. This is what OCD can look like, not just neatness or organization, but a brain trapped in a pattern that feels inescapable. Here's the deal. These rituals don't arise because people love order. They happen because the brain is screaming, if you don't do this, something terrible will happen. It could be checking the lock 10 times, or washing hands until the skin breaks, or rereading one paragraph over and over, terrified of missing a crucial detail. The rituals feel necessary. Skipping them brings overwhelming dread, panic, and the sense that danger is lurking just around the corner. From the outside, it may seem irrational, but to the person inside the loop, it's survival. And even when they complete the ritual, relief is temporary. The anxiety creeps back in. Next time the brain says, do it again, but better, do it more. And the loop tightens. This isn't just being particular. It's the brain's alarm system stuck on high volume. And while these rituals may look strange, they come from a desperate need for control in a world that feels unpredictable. Recognizing that these compulsions are symptoms, not choices, is vital. Because once you understand what's really happening, you can help yourself or someone you love step out of the loop. Number 3, when joy disappears. Ever eat your favorite food and feel nothing, or hear exciting news from a friend and feel flat? Not sad, just empty. That emotional numbness has a name: anhedonia. It's when the things that used to bring joy suddenly don't. Imagine your brain has a joy circuit normally lit up by dopamine. With anhedonia, that circuit feels burned out. There are 2 main types. Social anhedonia, when spending time with others feels hollow. You go out, but it feels like acting. You smile, laugh, but inside numb. Physical anhedonia, when sensory pleasures vanish. Food tastes like paper. Music sounds dull. Touch feels distant. This isn't laziness or being difficult. Anhedonia is often a core symptom of depression and other mental health conditions. It can creep in quietly after burnout, chronic stress, or trauma and make you feel like a ghost in your own life. But it's not the end of the story. Recognizing this state is the first step toward healing. Because sometimes the absence of joy isn't apathy. It's a signal that your brain is trying to protect you from pain. And with help, that circuit can light up again. Number 2, the reassurance trap. You send a text, minutes pass, no reply. Your brain whispers, they're mad at me. So you check in. Are you okay? They say yes. Relief for a second. Then it starts again. What if they were lying to be polite, and you ask again and again? This is excessive reassurance seeking. It's like your brain has an anxiety alarm that only someone else's. You're fine can silence. But the relief doesn't last. The more you seek reassurance, the more your brain needs it. You start asking the same questions over and over. You confess old mistakes hoping someone will say it's okay. You spend hours Googling symptoms looking for proof that everything's fine. But here's the truth. This isn't about getting answers. It's about trying to feel safe in a mind that constantly feels unsafe. And it's a trap. Because every time reassurance works, it reinforces the anxiety. Next time it spikes your brain, screams louder. Ask again. It's not about attention. It's about survival. And yes, it's exhausting for the person doing it and for those around them. But with the right support, this loop can be interrupted. And freedom starts with recognizing you don't need to ask again. You need to believe the answer. Number one, frozen by choices. Ever spend 45 minutes scrolling through Netflix just to watch nothing or stare at 10 kinds of cereal until you walk out with none? That's not indecision. That's decision paralysis. For some, choosing lunch can feel as intense as choosing a life partner. Why? Because the brain starts calculating every possible disaster. What if I pick wrong? What if they judge me? What if I regret it? And so you freeze. This isn't about preferences. It's about the brain demanding perfect certainty before acting. And because that certainty never comes, you do nothing. It creeps into calm relationships, moves dreams. People stay stuck not because they don't care, but because choosing feels like a gamble with everything on the line. Anxiety disorders often lie at the heart of this. 1 in 5 adults experience this kind of decision stress, and it can be paralyzing. But here's what's wild. Most decisions aren't permanent. They're just choices. And even a wrong one teaches you something that keeps you moving forward. So if you are frozen by fear of choosing wrong, remember not choosing is a choice. And often the braver move is simply to act. So how many of these brain habits did you recognize? 1, 3. All 7, you're not broken. You're human. And your brain, for all its brilliance, sometimes gets stuck in survival mode. But now you see the patterns. And awareness is the first crack of light in a dark room. If you found this helpful, subscribe, because we've got more coming. More insights, more stories, and more ways to finally take back control of your mind. You're not alone, and you're not crazy. You're just learning how to unwrite the fear-based script your brain's been stuck on. And that's the most powerful story you'll ever tell.